On this computer, and we are live. Hi everyone, welcome to the GoldFish Report. I'm your host and researcher Louisa. This is Saturday, October 31st, 2020. It's GoldFish Report number 599, and it's week 195 POTUS Report. Just want to welcome everybody and let you know that there's, of course, our YouTube channel was deleted by YouTube, of course, election interference, and so we are under the Canary Chronicles on YouTube. You can go to the goldfishreport.com and you can find our links there. Okay, just keep checking back because we're still in the process of updating everything. Let me make sure that my right headset. No, the headset was not plugged in that I needed, but I've got it now. So we also want to let you know that the WhiteHouseBlogger.com is the other website that you can go to find the links. I just need to log out so I can allow you guys to see it. Here we go. Because this is where I'm going to, for some reason, blogger.com has, which is also owned by Google, has also started to mess with the formatting on the blog. So we're not going to use that right now. So we're going to use the WhiteHouseBlogger.com. And here it is. You can check that out and take a look. Let me see what's going on. Yeah. Okay. The goldfishreport.blogspot.com is still up as far as I know, but you can definitely check on that. I don't know for sure because let me take a look. I'll check on it for you and let you know if it's still there. Well, so far it's still there. Okay, so but we've been having the formatting issues. So, I wanted to. I'm not going to do a full POTUS report tonight. I'm going to do some highlights because what's important tonight before the election is to highlight all of the president's accomplishments, or at least the most important accomplishments from President Trump, and really remind the American people, why you voted for Donald Trump to begin with and what he has accomplished and why he's still the right man for the job to finish the job, and why Joe Biden is not. So let's talk about what the president's done. I'm going to go to the blog right now and we can take a look at some of the latest stories that were published. Let me continue this. I'm going to talk about the highlights. Let me see. I don't think I'm going to share any video this week because I really want to focus on talking about the president's accomplishments. So here's the blog. This is the WhiteHouseBlogger.com, and you can check this out. These are some stories that we're going to talk about today. Of course, let's see, what other announcements do we have? I'll be back on Monday with the FETs to do our weekly political theater report, which is only going to be available on BitChute, but it's also available for our Patreon. So if you're a Patreon, you can receive that there as well. It's definitely not available on YouTube. So let's talk a little bit about what the president's the 5 stories the president doesn't want you to miss this week. This is about the economy's post-lockdown comeback. According to the Wall Street Journal, the U.S. economy grew at a record of 33.1% in the third quarter, even after most government transfer payments expired. When politicians lift their lockdowns and Americans can get on with their prudently cautious lives, even in a pandemic, people work, businesses invest, and the economy grows, according to the Wall Street Journal editorial board. Why Trump's healthcare price transparency rules will reignite America's economy. In a historic win for all Americans on Thursday, President Trump issued a final rule requiring health insurers to post the prices they have negotiated with hospitals, medical facilities, and doctors. Under this rule, healthcare consumers, including employers sponsoring workplace coverage, can finally know prices before they receive care, economist and former Reagan advisor Art Laffer writes. Would also be nice to know, I guess they could add to that, it would be nice if they could add what alternatives are to that, since we have to rely on medical professionals for that, right? I'm the FDA point person on COVID-19 vaccines. We'll make sure they're safe and effective. With high uptake, COVID-19 vaccines have the potential to save many lives in the United States, according to Dr. Peter Marks of the FDA. Therefore, it is critical to be open and transparent about the process that the FDA will follow to help make safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines available. We pledge to do our duty to the best of our ability, independently and without conflicts of interest. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, America First foreign policy is succeeding. An American First foreign policy puts our national interests first, which starts with seeing the world as it is, not as we wish it were, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo writes. Seeing the world with clear eyes also means recognizing without hesitation who our friends are. America has no greater friend than Israel. Trump is the greatest president in the modern era when it comes to shaping the judiciary. With Senate's confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court, President Trump has cemented his legacy as the most important president in the modern era when it comes to shaping the judiciary. Mark Thiessen of the American Enterprise Institute writes, Trump has made better judicial choices than any modern Republican president. And although that may be true, I would really like to see how they are deciding cases, and that will really truly be a sign of change, in my opinion. We have proclamation on the National Entrepreneurship Month. I really wish I could read all of these to you, but I can't tonight because we have a long list of President Trump's accomplishments to go over, and I will not take the time tonight to go over all of these proclamations, but I'm going to read to you what they are. Let's see, what else do we have? Okay. Proclamation on National Adoption Month. Proclamation on National Veterans and Military Families Month. Proclamation on National Family Caregivers Month. I mean, these are all very important things, folks, but again, we are really looking at the election on Tuesday night, and there's nothing more important for us to really discuss what the president's accomplishments are, so I want to hurry and get to this. We have this past week bill announcements. The president signed into law a large number of bills here. We have HR 561, which is Protecting Business Opportunities for Veterans Act, which clarifies the performance expectations for certain businesses receiving contracts under the Veterans First contracting program. We have HR 1952, the Inter-Country Adoption Information Act of 2019, which directs the Department of State to include additional information in its annual report to the Congress on inter-country adoptions. HR 2359, the Whole Veteran Act, which requires the Department of Veterans Affairs to submit to the Congress a report on the department's advancement of whole health transformation. HR 3399, which amends the Nutria Eradication and Control Act program to include additional states and authorize appropriations of $12 million for each of the fiscal years 2021 through 2025. HR 4183, Identifying Barriers and Best Practices Study Act, which requires the Government Accountability Office to conduct a study of disability compensation and pension benefits for certain individuals, and S3051, America's Conservation Enhancement Act, which reauthorizes certain existing conservation, fish, and wildlife programs and establishes new authorities. And on Friday, October 30th, yesterday, the president signed into law Senate Bill 2330, the Empowering Olympic, Paralympic, and Amateur Athletes Act of 2020, which provides increased oversight of the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee's Board of Directors and governing bodies. And if I'm not screen sharing, I will do that so you can see this. And establishes safeguards to protect amateur athletes from emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. Senate Bill 2638, the Friendly Airports for Mothers Improvement Act, which requires applicable small hub airports to maintain a lactation area and a baby changing table in at least one men's and one women's restroom in each passenger terminal building at the airport. Really? A lactating station area in the men's room. Okay, let's move along. Senate Bill 3758, which makes technical corrections to the Klamath Basin Water Supply Enhancement Act of 2000 and clarifies the status of the Kinsey and Sydney projects in Montana. I'm sorry. I just, only in the liberal world can men lactate. I'm sorry. It's like the same men that can have periods. I'm sorry. This is crazy. These are the liberals. These are liberals. It's driving me crazy. All right. Senate Bill 4075, the Reinvigorating Lending for the Future Act, or the RLF Act, which provides for the release of certain federal interests in connection with certain grants provided under the Economic Development Administration's Revolving Loan Fund program, and Senate Bill 4762, which designates the airport traffic control tower located at Piedmont Triad International Airport in Greensboro, North Carolina, as the Senator Kay Hagan Airport Traffic Control Tower. So, folks, the president has been on a full campaign schedule, rally schedule, and still signing, doing a huge amount of work. And it's not over. We still have so much more to talk about. Let's see what else we've got going on here. This is the 1600 daily stories worth sharing. President Trump's accomplishments are unparalleled, but for the past 4 years, the left-wing media, with help from their allies in big tech, has refused to cover this administration fairly. Recently, some companies are even censoring conservative voices. Well, we know that, don't we, on the GoldFish Report? And we're included in that. Here, I'll screen share this again. Here are 6 stories that explain the historic work of President Trump's administration. Please share them with anyone you think should hear them. The blue-collar presidency. President Trump is fighting for the middle-class Americans once sidelined by our country's own politicians. Under his administration, wages are growing faster for workers than for managers and fastest for those without a college degree. America's seniors will pay for a Democrat socialist agenda. Average Medicare health plan premiums have dropped by 34% under President Trump. The far left's Medicare for All socialist scheme threatens this progress. The Trump doctrine, terrorists lose and peace wins. That's actually a good name. 5 years ago, Americans watched in horror as ISIS gained power and terrorists killed on U.S. soil. Today, ISIS is destroyed. Terrorist leader al-Baghdadi and Soleimani are dead. And instead of fighting endless wars, America is brokering peace deals. Indeed, we are. Put the American people first, not China. For years, the left stood by as the Chinese Communist Party hurt American citizens. With COVID-19, they're doing it again. President Trump's strategy is clear. Don't punish Americans for the mistakes and failures of other countries and global organizations. The fastest recovery in history? America has added more than 11 million jobs since May, the quickest comeback on record. New GDP data also reveals the American economy is weathering the global pandemic better than Europe. Donald Trump fought the establishment and won. President Trump took on the far left and Republican donor class, the corporate media, China, Big Pharma, and the failed ideology of globalism. The American people wanted change, and the political class didn't listen. Fortunately, President Trump did. President Trump has fought tirelessly for the American people, and he's just getting started. And here's a photo of them, the president and first lady, wave as they board Marine One, which is a really awesome helicopter. I've been there covering that. Okay, so last night there was some big deal going on, right? There's other things going on, and I want to try and get through this very quickly. But last night there was some, oh, darn. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Statement from the president on last night's hostage rescue. Last night, at my direction, the United States military conducted a successful operation to rescue an American hostage in Nigeria, kidnapped just 96 hours earlier. United States Special Forces executed a daring nighttime operation to rescue their fellow American with exceptional skill, precision, and bravery. No United States service members were harmed. The former hostage is currently in good health and has been reunited with his family. Securing the freedom of Americans held in captivity abroad has been a top national security priority of my administration. Since the beginning of my administration, we have rescued over 55 hostages and detainees in more than 24 countries. Today's operation should serve as the stark warning to terrorists and criminal thugs who mistakenly believe they can kidnap Americans with impunity. And that is a statement from the president that was posted today. There's a lot of other stories that I would really like to share with you today, but I have to say, let me just look at this real quick and see if there's something else I wanted to share with you. We have a statement from the National Security Advisor Robert C. O'Brien on the 20th anniversary of UNSCR 1325. You just have to go to the whiteHouseblogger.com, please, and take a look at this. The White House appoints 2020 and 2021 class of White House fellows. This is a very long list. You're going to want to come here and take a look at it. We also have the statement from the press secretary on the record-breaking third quarter GDP report. You're going to want to come and take a look at it. We have the president intends to nominate individuals to key administration posts. We have Sean Cooksey of Missouri to be a member of the Federal Election Commission. You can come and take a look. You can read about his background if you come to the whiteHouseblogger.com. Also, Shanna Broussard of Louisiana to be a member of the Federal Election Commission. Well, that will be interesting, won't it? We have another statement by the press secretary. This is regarding the riots in Philadelphia. The riots in Philadelphia are the most recent consequence of the Liberal Democrats' war against the police. Law enforcement is an incredibly dangerous occupation, and thousands of officers have given their lives in the line of duty. All lethal force incidents must be fully investigated. The facts must be followed wherever they lead to ensure fair and just results. In America, we resolve conflicts through the courts and the justice system. We can never allow mob rule. The Trump administration stands proudly with law enforcement and stands ready upon request to deploy any and all federal resources to end these riots. But we have to have faith in the judiciary, and I really want to stress that, because right now when you're looking at what's happening with General Flynn and you're looking at what's happening with this Judge Sullivan, you can't get rid of this guy, Judge Sullivan. I mean, he's not following the law. He's breaking rules. He's acting as his own prosecutor. It's and that's, again, I mean, I say this like in every GoldFish report almost, is really how you know that the judiciary is really the seat of absolute power in our government. Okay, it's the broken branch, and it's the seat of absolute power because they police themselves, and there's they're not self-correcting. So we have problems. We have problems with the judiciary right now. Okay, what else do we have? We have presidential determination on refugee admissions for fiscal year 2021. Yeah, there's a lot here. The president, despite having a full campaign schedule all week long, still very busy putting together, still working a full schedule. It's just amazing how hard this man works. Like no other president we've ever seen before. It's quite the truth. Let's go to the next page. Yeah, okay, I see what I'm going to do. I'm going to screen share this as I go through it. And then I'm hopefully going to be able to highlight, of course, the president approves Louisiana emergency declaration because of Storm Zeta. We also have put Americans first, not China. The president's been talking about this for a long time. What does he have to say here? Yeah, earlier this year, the coronavirus spread from China through the world. President Trump acted quickly. He restricted travel from China and launched a White House coronavirus task force in January. At the time, Democrat leaders and liberal pundits called President Trump's strong response to the virus xenophobic, right? The corporate class and its chosen experts, for their part, turned a blind eye to China's human rights abuses and crackdowns on speech. Washington politicians fell in line, just opened America's markets to China, they said, and the CCP will change its way and become a responsible global citizen as it grows richer and stronger. Well, they were wrong. Under President Trump, America is fighting back. American leaders from both parties stood down to China for 40 years. These Chinese Communist Party broke the rules on global trade, allowed Chinese firms to steal technology from American companies, and in turn destroyed entire sectors of our economy. In reality, if China had acted on the virus just 3 weeks sooner than it did, up to 95% of global cases from COVID-19 could have been prevented, according to a study from the University of Southampton in England. Instead, more than 43 million cases have infected the world so far, and counting. The WHO nevertheless claimed that the CCP had set a new standard for outbreak control. Meanwhile, WHO Director General Dr. Tedros inexplicably condemned President Trump's travel ban while praising the domestic travel restrictions put in place by China. To make matters worse, U.S. taxpayers who sent the WHO World Health Organization millions of dollars each year only to see its leaders protect Chinese officials instead of American citizens. President Trump withdrew funding, telling the WHO to investigate its alarming failures. Democrats in Congress took the WHO's side. Speaker Nancy Pelosi called efforts to withhold its funding pending an investigation stupid. Throughout the pandemic, the left has remained conspicuously silent about both the CCP's culpability and the WHO's failures. Democrats in Washington prefer to use the virus as a political weapon, calling for more lockdowns and other policies that hurt American workers. Endless lockdowns may be an easy choice for affluent pundits and professionals who can work from home and afford to hire tutors for their kids, but they carry an enormous cost for most Americans. In addition to jobs lost and schools closed, there are increased risks of suicide, depression, opioid and drug abuse, domestic violence cases, and delays in an important preventative medical care. President Trump wants to see our country safely reopened by continuing measures to protect our most vulnerable citizens, including seniors. By prioritizing these groups, we can return more people safely to work and get more of our children back to school. In other words, President Trump's coronavirus strategy reflects his governing agenda from day one. Don't punish American citizens for the mistakes and failures of other countries and global organizations. Hold the real offenders accountable. And here's a link here if you want to read more. Must read How China Threatens American Democracy. You can come to the WhiteHouseBlogger.com and you can click this link and read more about that. There's also a photo of the day, which of course the big news was the swearing in of now Justice Amy Coney Barrett. She made it by Justice Clarence Thomas, not the Chief Justice John Roberts. Very interesting. President Trump, First Lady Melania Trump was present as well as Justice Barrett's husband, Jesse Barrett. So here's a photo of that. So it's really wonderful, wonderful news. I'm not going to, there's so much more. West Wing reads, there's just so much more. And I only have like a half an hour left to go over his accomplishments. Folks, you really do need to, come to if you want to know what the president's really doing, come to the WhiteHouseBlogger.com and check it out. You can also, for previous weeks and months, you can go to the GoldFishReport.blogspot.com as well. But as I said, we're having formatting problems on that. I bet it will clear up right after the election, right? So what I wanted to do was kind of highlight for the next 20 minutes or so. I wanted to, first of all, Sorry for being remiss. I want to thank Ascension Radio for simulcasting this report. We are live streaming on Facebook, and also we're simulcasting on Ascension Radio. So I want to thank Ascension Radio as usual every Saturday night for live streaming this. We are going to be featuring this week's political theater report in the second hour only on Ascension Radio. So the second hour will be this week's political theater report with the Fetz, of course, Jim Fetzer, and we are going to be talking about the latest news, of course, Hunter Biden and everything else that you need to know to make your decision on Tuesday night. But most importantly, making your decision should not be difficult, because when it comes to President Trump's accomplishment list, nobody beats nobody. This is such a very long list, I'll tell you. I would really like to I'm going to be screen sharing a lot of this because it's so long and lengthy. We have in government, President Trump nominates Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. Trump signs order protecting vulnerable newborn and infant children. Let's not forget that that's the real difference between the Democrats and the conservatives at this point, because as you know, conservatives are very pro-life, and this whole idea of how crazy are we as Americans? How crazy is this that we're allowing this to happen in New York State, where post-birth abortion, that's not called abortion, that's called murder. Okay. I mean, that's pretty clear. I think many people can agree on that, but unless you're a liberal who sees the world through different eyes. Oh, this is Halloween night too. I just have to share something with everybody first. So, along with the Biden sign, we found this very large diaper, very, very large liberal diaper, and it was we found it like right next to a Biden sign on the freeway, and I think this was Joe Biden's diaper. So, and funny enough, we found the the safety pin that goes with it. This was that pin there, and also, I'm not sure where this came from exactly, but we also found we found Joe Biden's pacifier. We found the pacifier, and we found his pin, for the diaper, for all the liberals. And now this is the new instead of that pink hat, they're going to walk around with their large diaper and their large pacifier. So for Halloween tonight, we're showing the liberal tears, and we're showing the liberal pacifier. And you always, we'll always post that phone number for the Wambulance for anybody who needs to cry on Tuesday night, because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of people needing to do that, at least the liberals. So anyway, I wanted to screen share that. It's it's not what we normally do on Halloween. We usually have a little bit more fun with that, but it's serious business tonight, because we have an election on Tuesday that it means everything to the country that we get this decision right, that we don't listen to the fake news media, because that they don't have the facts right. They have their own agenda, which you all know. They're really a part of the DNC. But let's keep moving along. Trump signs order to lower Medicare drug prices for seniors. President Trump signs historic Hispanic Prosperity Initiative. Trump signs Great American Outdoors Act, preserving and protecting our national parks. USMCA trade agreement. Trump creates a new position dedicated to fighting human trafficking. I mean, this is the most disgusting thing, folks. The pictures that I have seen of these children who have been sodomized and abused by these globalist Satanists, this death cult racket, it's disgusting. If you've only seen this, you would absolutely be repulsed. And we're going to show the pictures one day, because you have to see it so that you make sure it doesn't ever happen again. It is heartbreaking and it is disgusting. But if you don't see it, you're going to keep turning your cheek and looking the other way. And America has to put a stop to this. And President Trump is doing that, with at least 4 or 5 different executive orders that he's passed, including seizing assets of people who are responsible for human trafficking and drug trafficking as well. But let's continue. Trump signs law giving veterans smoother path to STEM careers. He confirms his 170th federal judge with even more to come. And I don't even think this is completely updated. This right now is quite older. Trump signs bill restoring funding for historically black colleges and universities. Trump signs bill that makes extreme animal cruelty a felony. Actually, any animal cruelty should be a felony. Trump signs executive order protecting Medicare. He signs a bill protecting disability payments for veterans who declare bankruptcy, signs a 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund into law. Trump signs bill to fund Autism Cares Act. These are all issues that we all care about and affect us, our families, every one of us, somebody that we know, right? Someone's a veteran, someone has autism, somebody is a senior, somebody has these issues that everybody's dealing with here. Trump meets Kim Jong-un at the DMZ and becomes first sitting U.S. president to enter North Korea. How about that? Trump signs measure aimed at preventing veteran suicides, signs major public lands conservation bill into law, signs into law Genocide Prevention Act, signs legislation enhancing U.S. leadership in Indo-Pacific region, signs Ashanti Alert Act into law, signs $867 billion bipartisan farm bill with welfare reform work requirements, signs law punishing Chinese officials who restrict access to Tibet, production of hemp to become legal in all 50 states with farm bill passage. Trump limits asylum migrants must come legally, signs new Hezbollah sanctions into law, signs opioids law at White House event, signs bipartisan water infrastructure spending law, signs the Music Modernization Act, the biggest change to copyright law in decades, signs bills to help patients stop overpaying for medicine, signs law ending gag orders against pharmacists sharing money-saving information. Absolutely, folks. If you don't think this president's working for you, you're not listening and you're not paying attention, because this president, this is affecting every household one way or another, every single household. Look at this, signing laws to stop overpaying of medicines. What president has ever done that for us before? Nobody. So, this is the real deal, right? Trump signs bill requiring airports to provide spaces for breastfeeding moms. Trump signs Karras law on the 50th anniversary of 9/11. Trump signs order to keep Guantanamo military prison open. Signs proclamation directing troops to secure border. President Trump and Chairman Kim Jong-un sign important document at Singapore summit. Trump signs into law giving Border Patrol better fentanyl detection tools. Signs law expanding hate crime protections to religious institutions. Signs technical education bill into law. Folks, I haven't even begun to start. I can't even do this. You need to go to magapill.com and check out this whole list, because I don't even have enough time in this report to even just read the headline of each of the president's accomplishments. I don't even have the time to do it. Amazing. Fired all 46 attorney generals hired by Obama. Now, folks, if that's not a reason, if you don't have a reason to vote by now, that in and of itself is a reason to vote for Trump. Because if you remember, a lot of these people in his administration didn't even pass an FBI background check, right? Most of them belong to many of them belong to the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, how did they get into our, folks, this is when we're sleeping at the wheel, right? We let the enemy infiltrate us. We've got to step up to the plate, and we've got to keep an eye on what's going on. Purge the State Department of Obama loyalists. Yeah, this was the whole problem. Yep. Cutting regulations in government and agencies. I mean, that's just to name a few. I could hardly. In terms of economy, the U.S. GDP booms at 33.1% rate, and the third quarter beating expectations. President Trump announced $500 billion platinum plan to increase capital, businesses, and jobs for Black communities. 1.4 million new jobs added in August. Unemployment has second largest decline on record. U.S. housing surges over 22% in July. 1.8 million new jobs added in July, beating expectations for third straight month. Job market continues to crush expectations in 2020. Trump secures historic Phase 1 trade agreement with China. Amazing. U.S. economy added 266,000 new jobs in November, smashing expectations. Trump signs agriculture and digital trade agreements with Japan. And let's not forget that the president also got signed the COVID relief bill, right? The CARES Act, the COVID relief. Everybody got a check in the mail for that. And when did that ever happen before? When did a president ever do that? Never, as far as I know. Not in my lifetime. 480,000 manufacturing jobs added since President Trump's election. U.S. job openings rise outnumber the unemployment by 1 million. That might not be a lot, but that's still a million. Proclamation on adjusting imports of steel into the United States. That was important because we were getting really crappy steel from China, and it was substandard, right? It was causing problems. Steel was causing, engineering failures. So we don't want that. We want to manufacture our own steel, right? Food stamp usage declines for 8 straight months. Construction jobs up more than 300,000 compared to last year. See, it just goes on and on and on. It's amazing. This president's just an amazing, really amazing. What else do we have? Yep. Black unemployment rate falls to record low. I think even Hispanic as well falls to record low. Trump signs Korean trade deal. Trump blocks Chinese purchase of Qualcomm due to national security. Well, there you go. That's a smart one, right? That's all we need, is to have more communist China infiltration of the United States. We need to stop that, folks. Trump fights for America First at fourth round of NAFTA negotiations as fourth round of NAFTA negotiations end. Exactly. Japan freezes North Korea's assets after Trump's visit. Trump blocks China from buying a semiconductor company, Lattice. Another one. Crude oil shipment from Texas opens new vistas in India-U.S. ties. Argentina agrees to allow U.S. pork imports in 25 years. Trump orders probe of China's intellectual property practices. New memorandum to protect America's IPs from China, potentially saving billions of dollars and millions in jobs. Coal exports up 60%. China opens rice market for U.S. exports for first time ever. U.S. makes final finding rebar exports from Taiwan. Renegotiating NAFTA, which with the Canada-Mexico USMCA agreement. First natural gas shipped to Poland. Signs and armed, I mean, look how long this list is, folks. I just can't get through it all. CEO confidence highest since 2014. Trump announces $200 million in apprenticeship funding. Goes on and on and on, right? Executive order on the establishment of the American Technology Council. Let's not forget, the president also created the United States Space Force, a new branch of the military, of the armed services, the Space Force, because, well, we never know what's going to happen in space, do we? But that's one of the areas I like to report on. So we'll, as I have reported in the past, we'll try to follow up on that a little bit later. This isn't even scratching the surface, folks. This is like an iceberg. I'm just kind of showing you what's at the tip of the iceberg, and I'm not showing you what's beneath the surface, right? So you have to come to the magapill.com and just check this out. I don't know how completely up to date this list is. I'm just kind of glancing at it. It's possible. I mean, it is quite thorough, but it's possible there's some things that aren't updated on it, but it's just amazing. Executive order, all federal agencies to create task forces to cut regulations that hurt the economy. Let's take a look over at national security. Okay, President Trump brokered historic peace deal between Israel and Sudan just recently. U.S. Marshals announced rescue of more than 1,300 missing children. Let me repeat that. U.S. Marshals announce rescue of more than 1,300 missing children. That's amazing. And you know what? Was this what those ships were for? We don't know. During the COVID pandemic, it's amazing though. But if you go to our Twitter page, we do update and post every day our Twitter news page, basically statements from the Department of Justice on these arrests that they're making regarding human trafficking. Trump signs order advancing growth of domestic mineral mining and processing. AG Barr announces 100 million more to combat human trafficking. This is such a big problem, folks. You have no idea how big this problem is. The president would not be spending this much time working on policy for this if it wasn't a huge problem. It's it's always been hidden in the shadows, in the dark. They didn't talk about it. The press didn't cover it. It was, dissenters were silenced, as President Kennedy said in his 1961 speech to the American Newspapers Publishers Association, talking about the secret society. And he described exactly what who they are by describing how they behave and what they do. And we can put names on them today. But if you tried in the past, you were eliminated, of course. President Trump brokered historic peace deal between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. President Trump brokered historic peace deal between Israel and the Kingdom of Bahrain. President Trump brokered economic normalization between Serbia and Kosovo. Look at this. 70 million boxes of food distributed by farmers to families food box program. President Trump signs order improving telehealth access for rural Americans. Trump orders purge of critical race theory from federal agencies. Thank goodness, because that's just a Trojan horse for more disaster. That is a fascist propaganda. That's what it is. It's propaganda, folks. He did the right thing. Trump forgives $750 million in student loans for disabled vets. President Trump signs order increasing American production of essential medical supplies. Trump secures critical funding for the border wall. The United States has brought the leader of ISIS to justice. Executive order on modernizing sanctions to combat terrorism. Orders additional measures to enhance border security. United States has liberated all ISIS-controlled territory. President Trump signs order directing an increase in cybersecurity. Combating high non-immigrant overstay rates. ICE arrests 364 criminal aliens and immigration violators in enforcement surge. U.S. signs proclamation against female genital mutilation and cutting. Oh, you think? DHS is planning on denying green cards to legal immigrants if they receive federal or state aid. ICE raids hit 77 businesses in Northern California. End of year report, deportations up 40%, historically low crossings. This is what the president's doing in terms of national security, keeping our country safe. Before I continue, I just want to check on the length of time for this report that is coming next, because I have to leave enough time for that. So I'm going to, it's an hour and 15 long. Definitely it's called The Countdown to the Election. It's not possible for me in this remaining time to go over all of the president's accomplishments. There's still more to cover from what the president's done all week. We've got to make sure that our president has another 4 years so he can finish the job he came in to do, because we still have to work on new currency and monetary policy. Monetary policy, where with the Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, we've got to work on monetary policy and our currency. It's really worth nothing. Our currency is like worth what, 3 cents because of our debt. Now, has the balance sheet changed? Has all the tariffs been helping pay down that national debt? To what extent? To how much? Or is there going to be a jubilee, a debt jubilee? I doubt it. China doesn't, forgive anybody, do they? And since we have, what percentage? Is it at least 25% of our debt is owned by China? You know that, be careful of watching them buy up the United States. And then therefore try to come back and recoup those assets. We have to be very careful about that, because that's how you That's how you lose your country, right? Is let the enemy in, infiltrate. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. It is Halloween. Don't forget the liberal pacifiers, right? We're not going to vote for the liberals on Tuesday because they have an agenda of destroying our country, and that's their policy. They're going to raise your taxes. Sleepy Joe has no problem reminding us that every time we listen to him, if he remembers where he is, or if he remembers how long he's been in Congress. 180 years. Well, I guess he got that wrong, and according to himself. And Jim Fetzer, as you know, I mean, this report you're going to hear, if you listen on Ascension Radio, stay tuned in on Ascension Radio, you will hear Jim Fetzer saying he is absolutely convinced that there were body doubles in place during those debates, because Joe Biden is so cognitively deficient that it's not possible that he could have performed that way during the debates. But of course, he didn't have any answers. He didn't answer any questions. All he did was attack the president. So it goes to show you, how could you elect somebody that has absolutely no plan whatsoever for this country? You can't. And for people out there who are really, really loyal to your party, it's time to jump ship. It's the Titanic, folks, and it's sinking. It's sinking very quickly. If you want to stay loyal to your party, you're going to go down with the ship. So you have to, use critical thinking, and definitely realize that there is no future in the agenda that the Democrats have. No future for America, unless you want. You could just go to Venezuela and spare yourself the election, because what's happening there is it's outrageous. What's happening in Venezuela right now. There's plenty of other countries around the world. Go to China if you'd like. If you don't like America, go to China. Right? All these celebrities who say, "Oh, I'm leaving the United States." Please go. I really wish you would leave already. Go. The first time he was elected, you said you were going to leave, and you didn't leave. Now you should leave, because he's going to get elected again. So it's time for you to pack up and go, because who cares about you? Who cares about the celebrities who say they're going to leave if Trump is reelected? I don't care about them. And it's all going to come out anyway, folks. We are going to be in for a very big surprise when all of these tribunals are aired. And you wonder why Barr is not doing anything. Well, it's because it's being dealt with through a military tribunal. Many of these treasonous traitors are going to be part of what has been described as, these military tribunals. They have been some have trials, and some, may have been executed already, but we'll find out. So stay tuned. I want to thank Ascension Radio again for broadcasting this live, and to all the viewers on Facebook, thank you for watching. And to all the viewers who are going to view this afterwards, uploaded once it's recorded, I just want to thank you all for viewing, of course. And please go to our website so that we can keep you informed as to where we are and where you can find our reports. But you can always go to our BitChute channel. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it's I'm going to show it. I'm going to screen share it for you right now, and you can check this out. This is our BitChute channel with all of our reports are all the last 400 reports are on it. Essentially, what this last channel deleted is what's on BitChute. So you're not going to miss anything. You can go back and you can check it out. Here you can see the Canary Chronicles is our sister site. So check out Canary Chronicles on YouTube. We do have 2 of them. There's 2 Canary Chronicles. So definitely check that out. Actually, I think there's 3. So I like to cover myself, because it was inevitable. The first time they deleted our channel was in the last election. So we know it's election interference. And, we did see these guys up on the Hill, and still I don't think anybody had a satisfactory response. I was in contact with Congressman Wicker's office, who is the head of the Commerce Committee, and they're working, hard on this too. I just think they should have more of the public's input, but they know very well what's happened with GoldFish Report, and I have a rapport with the office, so they're the ones who were organizing these hearings. So still, you know, I think everybody's mind is made up already. It's going to be hard to convince anybody just 3-4 days away from the election. But, you know, show your support for the president. Go do what you can to keep making America great, and do your part. You know, either you're the part of the problem or part of the solution. And that's really what's going to happen when you go on November 3rd. Either you're part of the problem or you're part of the solution. And that depends on how you vote, right? So I want to thank everyone for viewing. I want to thank again Ascension Radio. I'm going to close this out now. Please go to the goldfishreport.com and you can find our other links there as well. And hopefully you will be able to follow us. Please subscribe to the new YouTube channel so we can begin doing live streams there. Without enough viewers, subscribers, we can't really go live. We can't do live streams there. And I do miss our viewers. I miss you all very, very much. So please go back and subscribe to the Canary Chronicles YouTube channel, and also subscribe to us on BitChute, because of course you'll get the reports there. Follow us on Twitter. Go to the GoldFish Report Almost 24/7 news page on Facebook, and you can also get our reports there. I mean, we're all over the place. Go to the White House Blogger. We are spread out, folks. So we're trying to keep our presence. We're trying to keep the news out and keep you informed on what's happening with the president and in other areas of news too. Keep an eye out for our exclusive interviews as well. We are approaching our 600th report. So I want to thank everyone for viewing, and this concludes. Well, have a great weekend. Remember voting Tuesday night. Make America great again, folks. And this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report.